This mission is headed out towards the giant gas planet Jupiter. I have to choose one of its moons to set up a human colony. I've got my shortlist down to 3. The ice worlds of Europa, Ganymede and Callisto. Amazingly, I managed to find somebody else who was faced with a very similar problem.
I would worry that would impact this, so the other option could be you could have just the cable floating with it.
Pat Troutman is head of NASA's Advanced Concepts Lab, a group who use Hollywood-style CGI to dream up future space missions. He was asked to find the perfect moon for a base to explore Jupiter from.
There's such a large distance between Earth and the moon, from moon to Mars, and then another quantum increase from Mars to Jupiter, that you need an outpost in the Jovian system just to explore the whole system. And that outpost is a place you can go back. It has safe haven, it has supplies, and a basic infrastructure so that you can recoup from your battles with the wilds.
This outpost needed to be constructed somewhere close enough to study Jupiter in great detail and have enough resources to fuel further missions to the outer solar system.
We can't go to Jupiter itself because the gravity would just crush and there's no real surface on it. When you start looking at the moons, of course, Europa is very interesting. It has oceans, we think, under there, but the radiation environment is so severe because it's so close to Jupiter that we really couldn't fathom going there.
Jupiter has a massive magnetic field that traps passing radiation, forming an invisible but deadly belt that extends into space. Europa is in the thick of this band. A human landing there would be dead within a day. So that's another moon off the list, leaving just 2.
So we started backing out and looking at the other moons, the major ice moons, Ganymede and Callisto, and both were good candidates for going there.
Ganymede, the next moon out, suffers less radiation. But there's one moon that escapes Jupiter's band altogether, Callisto.
So it was a sweet spot, so to speak. And again, being covered with ice is just the best material we could possibly have. Callisto is just a fantastic place to go.
It may not be as smooth or as large as Ganymede, but Callisto is my choice. It's big enough to make a home there, it's got plenty of water ice, and it's outside Jupiter's deadly radiation belt. But what would it be like to live there? Well, for a start, it's much smaller than the Earth, about 1/3 the size. That means it has less gravity too. Coping with this will be one of the biggest challenges the pioneers will face. So I decided to experience it for myself in the most amazing laboratory I've ever been to.
Whoa. Thanks.
Certainly.
Wow.
This is our reduced gravity laboratory. It just happens to be inside an aircraft.
That just looks like a commercial plane.
Well, it is very similar. It's actually a military version of a DC-9. It's a C-9, and it's been refurbished by NASA to perform the reduced gravity mission. We'll pitch up at anywhere from 45 to 52 degrees nose high, go over the top after about 8,000 feet, pitch back over, and free fall back down. And we'll go right into the next one, maintaining that energy. And by varying that parabolic flight profile, we can actually vary the G-field that you will feel inside the aircraft.
So just by tuning the pitch and the throttle, you can simulate the moon's conditions, you can simulate the Mars conditions, any kind of gravity.
The smooth curve of the flight path is called a parabola. It's the same curve that roller coaster tracks make, and it ensures that the level of reduced gravity is the same on the way up as it is on the way down. Test director Dom Del Rosso has scheduled a few parabolas at Callisto gravity for me today. It's a real honor, as it's very rare for visitors to be allowed inside this incredible flying laboratory.
So there's one last thing we need to do to make sure you're fully kitted out here, is we need to make sure that you're properly identified for the flight today.
Badge.
Outstanding. Well, welcome aboard.
Thank
It'll be
you
an
very
outstanding
much.
flight.
Before the flight, I had to go through a briefing.
Obviously, you may not feel well, you just might feel strange. If you do need to go back to the bathroom for any reason, please let one of us know that you're going back there because we don't want to be flying parabolas while you're in the bathroom unannounced.
And take a little something to help the nausea that I was assured would be coming my way. What I was letting myself in for was a stomach-churning 60 parabolas in total, over 3 hours flight, but only a couple of minutes at Callisto gravity.
So excited about it, it's going to be amazing.
The rest of the time was for these guys, a huge team of engineers and astronauts testing out prototype suits for the 2020 moon mission. Once we were safely out over the Gulf of Mexico, it was time for my first taste of reduced gravity.
Sure. Whoa! We're at 0.3 G, 0.2 G. I'm feeling so light. Yeah. Wow!
This is close to Mars gravity, and it's what the astronauts needed for the first part of their testing.
That is so good.
For every 30 seconds or so of reduced gravity, you have about 15 seconds of increased gravity to endure at the bottom of the parabola.
Right, we're getting heavy again. That's really quite heavy.
The meter on the right shows the level of G, and here at 1.8 G, my body weighs nearly twice as much as usual. The astronauts needed 17 parabolas at 0.2 G for the first part of their testing. But on the 18th, I was allowed to experience what I'd come for. Callisto gravity.
Wow! Absolutely amazing! So this is 0.1 G, and we're simulating what it would be like on Callisto.
I discovered that on Callisto, it'll be very easy to juggle.
I've got so much time.
Ridiculously easy to climb.
So weird. You could scale up rock or ice incredibly easily.
And exercising would be a breeze. But having a drink of water after, surprisingly difficult.
It's definitely a very odd sensation, and the body is not used to this. I tell you what, it would take some getting used to. It's odd, very odd.
With my brief experience of Callisto gravity over, flight control was handed back to the astronauts to complete their testing. And I had to take a back seat for the remaining 2 hours of flight. I can certainly see why they call this the vomit comet.